Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Musician from Hits Academy, a newsletter, coaching service, podcast, and blog preparing today's musicians for tomorrow's realities. Today's episode is titled, A Year From Now You May Wish You Had Started. Thank you to Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for TEM. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba Mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, the TEM coaching newsletter from Hits Academy is about to be relaunched. It, along with this podcast, has been on we'll call it a vacation. That sounds better than hiatus. I don't know what, sabbatical. There's a fancy academic term. It's been on sabbatical. But it's not a sabbatical because it's not like it kept getting paid. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to be relaunching in the next couple of weeks. If you would like to see the entire archive of former episodes, I always call them episodes, issues of the TEM coaching newsletter, you can go to tem.fm/newsletter. There's lots of cool links that are in, I think it's like 42, 43 issues, episodes, whatever you'd like to call them. Also, before I get to the thing, I almost never notice my hair. If you're just listening to this, there's one tuft of hair that's right in the middle. It's sticking straight up. It looks like this tiny little mini mohawk. My hair's a mess always. I shampoo and condition it and then towel dry every day, and I never comb it or brush it or even look at it. But I could not get it to stop sticking straight up. So apparently the universe has decided that this is the style today. So enjoy. Anyway, a year from now, you may wish you had started. This is a quote from author Karen Lamb, and it could not be more straightforward. Whatever it is that you have been thinking about doing, start now. If you've been thinking about meditating, start today. Side note, I currently have a 19-day streak of meditation, and that is a big deal for me. A very specific thing happened 19 days ago, by the way, that started that streak and that is directly responsible for keeping it going this long. I'm going to do an episode. I'm just teasing it. I'm going to do an episode about this very soon and talk about how that streak came to be. And it's going to be a part of a series of episodes on the importance of having good systems in place. So you can look for that soon. If you've been thinking about working out, start today. Don't buy the third tier up membership at the fanciest gym in your neighborhood. That almost always ends with you not going to the gym or going 4 times. Get down on and do one push-up. That's it. Just get down and do one push-up and set an alarm for tomorrow to remind you to do another one. If you've been thinking about learning how to improvise, start today. Do not start by trying to learn some Charlie Parker solo that he's playing at 200 beats a minute and try and learn that by ear. That's not a good idea. Find a groove on YouTube and improvise on one pitch. Just start today. That's the key. If you've been thinking about writing a book or starting a blog, start today. Write 100 words. Anyone can write 100 words. I didn't say write 100 good words. That's actually hard sometimes. Or 100 words that you will end up sharing with anyone. Or 100 words that won't need any editing after today. Just write 100 words, but do it today. If you've been thinking about starting a website, start today. The key isn't choosing the perfect platform or the perfect URL or the perfect anything. It's just starting. So now there is a little bit of context here. Nothing is quite as black and white as just start everything. If you are the type of person who starts lots and lots of things and never finishes any of them, don't start every single thing that pops into your head. I am one of those people, or at least I can be. I've certainly finished lots and lots of things in my life. I'm on episode 318 of a podcast. I do have follow through, but I've abandoned way more things than I should have. And I've abandoned a lot of those things at the wrong time. If you listen to my episode on the dip, which I will link to in the show notes because I have absolutely no idea whether that was episode 7, episode 277, or somewhere in between. And also that book is life-changing and it's short. But it's all about quitting at the right time. So I'm certainly not saying that everybody should start everything, but I would argue that even people like me who are way better about starting things than finishing them need to start certain things that we've been putting off. like my meditation habit, for example. You obviously have to figure out what works for you and what your best course of action is. But as a good litmus test, when I keep on telling myself on some level, and by keep, it could even be like once a week or once a month, it's like, I really should be meditating, right? Because my friend Dave told me about the benefits that he's getting, and he sent me an article, and I read it, and it sounded really good, and I was like, I got to do that, and that was in like June, and here I am, and I've not even tried once. You just gotta start. You just gotta start. Okay. I'm reminded of another quote: "The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today." There's pretty much nothing of value that you wouldn't have been better off if you started 10 years ago. But everybody who started 10 years ago could have started 15 years ago. And usually it would have been even more beneficial for them if they had. You just have to start. All right, this week's quote is from the legendary, which I think undersells her. To call Simone Biles simply legendary, I think is underselling it. She's one of the greatest athletes in the history of sport. But Simone Biles, Simone Miles, I'm almost 50. Have I mentioned that? Simone Biles said, quote, "I'd rather regret the risks that didn't work out than the chances I didn't take at all." This is a call to action. Not starting something that you keep telling yourself you should do is a sign that you are playing it safe because you don't want to take a risk of some kind. It is worth noting here that the fact that you are telling yourself, that's fundamentally different than other people telling you that you need to be doing something. Because if you're telling yourself, then you're already convinced it's a good idea. You just have enough resistance that you aren't actually doing the thing. That can be fundamentally different than other people telling you over and over again that you should do a thing because you might just not be convinced that you should even do it in the first place. So, this is specifically when you're telling yourself that you need to start meditating and then you're not. There's a disconnect there, and she's just saying you just gotta take risks, because if they don't work out, great. The only way to change the world is through big, bold actions. And if you haven't noticed, the world needs changing. I'll just keep moving. So take those risks. Worst case scenario is you learn a lot. The best case scenario is that you changed the world. So yeah, take it from Simone, or Sabone as I like to call her, Biles, and just take the risk, rather than not taking the chance at all. Thank you so much for listening. It's good to be back, or watching if you want to see the state of my hair from week to week. Anyway, I think that's the first and probably the last time I'll ever mention my hair on TEM, but it looked funny enough that I thought I would mention it. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, especially if you share this with somebody. And I always find that it's best, not for TEM, just in general. Like, if there's a specific episode of a podcast, I know for me, I'm going to finish one of these sentences. It's going to be really exciting. I know for me that if somebody says you need to check out blank, and I go and click on it, and it says that there's 318 episodes, I'm like, okay, what do I do with this, right? And I'll frequently choose like the most recent episode. But if you take like a half a second and realize like that, my friend Dave is on my mind today. That if I'm like, actually, episode 312 is exactly pertaining to something that Dave and I were talking about. So you send them that link to a specific article by an author, or a specific book, or a specific, episode of a podcast that can help to make an impact. And do I want you to spread the word about TEM? Of course I do. I mean, selfishly, yes, of course. I put a lot of energy into this thing, and selfishly, I want it to go as wide as it can. But if it can help somebody, or hell, if TEM episode reminds you of some other thing, and I mean this, that's better, that's on the same subject but done better, like, go share that with them, But we need to be helping each other out right now, like, desperately need to keep engaged, to keep inspired, to keep from getting discouraged, and whether that's sharing TEM or something else. think of a friend, think of what they might need right now, and just go do it. So I beg of you to go do it. But the fact that you're listening to my voice right now with so many options really absolutely means the world to me, and I cannot thank you enough. And that is going to do it for another episode of The Entrepreneurial Musician.